Hey y'all, it's Anthony here, one half of the dev studio Center Steel. I'm doing another play test of a game called Fingerteeth. It is made by looks like Andrea Pignataro Productions. Andrea Pignataro Productions. It is a horror story. The blurb itself is, "This is the windiest horror story since the day you were born under the fate of this terrible nightmare we call life." So it's either windiest or windiest. So we'll see. I downloaded it for free. I'll have that in the description below. You can see where I downloaded it, and you're able to give a donation upon downloading. You can leave a comment if you have an itch.io, which is where it's from, itch.io account. Okay, so this is a first impressions play test. I have not played it at all. I just downloaded it and basically installed it on my system, so I'm just gonna fire it up and we'll go from there. I like to get these raw first impressions because that helps game developers, as though you're watching a player over their shoulder. So it's a lot better, infinitely better than typing out how I feel about it. So here we go. It's called Fingerteeth. Alright, so there's no... Ooh. Very nice. There's no customization where Unity has... Whenever you have the Unity engine, I don't know what engine this is built in. It looks like it's very small on my recording device, but I think it's getting all of the stuff, so it looks like there's like a black line between my little face talking right here in the bottom and the actual game itself, so that's fine. But it's getting everything, so I can either quit or play. So Fingerteeth, so here we go. Are you sure there's no going back? Yes, no, no, no. I like that, that's interesting. Let's go ahead and hit yes. Cool. I like that a lot. That was really nice. I'm a huge fan of horror games, so this is hopefully my cup of tea. That was a really good effect. I like the bar opening. It's really cinematic, which I think is probably what you're going for. Beyond the mountains lived a woman. Oh, something flashed. Who never knew how to please her dreadful and smooth stone. What? That's creepy. I like that little flash. I have a feeling that wasn't a bug. I have a feeling that was like a frame object. All she could think of was so relatable and sad that the stone wept each time she touched him. And so the stone's a him, huh? That's creepy also. One day her goat gave birth to a sphere full of a black and thick liquid. It reminds me of that movie on Netflix. I think it's from Netflix called Witch with two V's. Sort of reminds me of that black sheep. So it doesn't feel like a game, but it feels. I really enjoy stuff like this a lot. It feels like a cinematic experience without the cinematics. I caught something else flashing on the screen, that last one. So the woman decided, bathe, you want to B-A-T-H-E, to bathe the stone in the black liquid. God damn it, but the goat died right after. I like those flashes. Press F to continue. Again, it doesn't feel like a game, but it feels like this interesting and cinematic, interactive cinematic thing. Like I don't really have any choice. I just keep going, so I'm on rails. She wept for the goat. But the stone started frantically laughing in disbelief. Because he was finally a real man. What the hell is this? Let me turn this up. Hold on. I really want to get the full experience with the full experience with the sound effects. So I hope. A deep and hot hole appeared, where the man was now silently standing, while holding his mouth with a hand found nearby. Like you're using the bass. Let's I feel like I'm on your dev team. Push those background sounds a lot more. I forget what that's called in like horror parlance, but it's those like the squeals and the violins and like the deep bass rumbles, like almost like those sounds that are outside of your hearing. Try to push those even more. Push that bass even more, especially when that closes and you hear the boom. Really push that stuff. I really like it. My speakers are garbage, so they're not really giving me much, but it's enough to I get the point. I like that hum. The hand had fingers full of teeth that immediately started rattling for the cold. For the cold or from the cold? Did they rattle for the cold or did they rattle from the cold? Maybe trembling from the cold. But I understand the visual you're trying to give. The man was ready to leave his body and return to stone. But Fingerteeth filled the hole to get his hand back. Oh, I like that. That was nice. I was just gonna recommend that you make those more common, more often. Just maybe by like a scene or two. Several years went by, and so I was gonna ask about the woman, and so the woman gave birth to another goat before passing away the day after. Mother, mother, said the goat. I like how you said when he saw the corpse. I like how you kind of increase the distance between letters. When he saw the mother inside the cage, Fingerteeth built with her bones. I like how you, whenever there's a quote, you say you separate the letters. You could also maybe change the color of that font too, but I'm not sure what color you would make it with that background of pink. Oh, it's becoming pinker. Now I realize. Inside the cage, a gruesome bird was eating the rotten flesh that restlessly dreamed. a better way to save her son. Her green and yellow eyes were still wet from the tears, but the bird was not satisfied with their taste. I would maybe recommend making those flashes are interesting, and I know exactly what you're going for, but maybe make them a little bit bigger and pull them a bit towards the center. Simply because what I'm doing right now as the player is I'm seeing my my mental acuity whenever I'm reading the letters. It has to go through a filter. It has to go through several filters. So first I have to see the letters, and then I have to comprehend the language, and then I have to comprehend the context behind the letters being put together, right? So I'm literally reading words. So I'm doing several steps here. And then whenever something flashes, it pulls me out of that. It pulls me out of like the narrative that you have me in to look at it. So it's not exactly having the effect that I think you want it to have, only because I have to then draw out of these several steps, like the several layers that I'm currently in, um, to kind of look away and understand what I'm looking at. So now, if I was watching something play out, like that scene in Fight Club, where they're overlaying, like you're watching something, and then like literally watching movement on a screen, and that's more visceral and tactile than having to go through these cerebral layers of contextualization with language, with like symbolism. So like you're watching something actually moving and playing out, and then something flashes, so you're literally doing the same thing. Your brain is already completing those same cycles, so it just absorbs it immediately, which makes that kind of imagery, that kind of split-second propaganda so effective. So it's more difficult whenever you're reading something and I have to kind of interpret what these symbols mean in my brain. And I'm doing it, in microseconds, obviously, but I'm still having to do it over a course of time. Like I'm spending energy to read something and put that image in my head, and then I see an image and it pulls me out of what I'm doing to see that image. I think it would be even more effective if you just maybe take that image that you're putting up on the corner and just putting it like right over the letters and just making it big, so it's like boop, like it just comes up like I'm already looking at these letters. So I still have to pull out, and I still have to like create that dissonance. I still have to get over that hurdle of pausing my symbolic interpretation and seeing the visceral image, right? I still have to do that, but I don't have to I don't have to register that there's something happening elsewhere, and I have to now look away at it while the words are still scrolling. And then when I'm done looking away at it, I then have to look back at the words and then see, okay, wait, what word did I miss? Okay, I missed the word with, right? Now, this is happening in microseconds. I really, really like what's happening, but it's just a little bit off step. Only because of the medium that you're using. You're using the medium of the written word with imagery, which makes it difficult. It reminds me of those thought problems where it's not really a thought problem. It's where they write, like you're using flashcards and you get like a red marker and you write the word green on it, like GREEN, but the letter is red. Like the letters are in the red color, and then they'll be like, like, what color is this? And like your brain has to interpret the symbolism. And then you kind of like, you hiccup and you have like a brain fart. It's like a brain failure. Like you'll read green, like they'll say, what color is this? And you'll say green. And they're like, no, I said, what color is it? And then you have to stop and think. And like, I think that might be something to consider here. Again, I'm just a case study of one, which is why I'm trying to give this feedback, and I'm trying to I'm trying to understand what you're attempting to do here, and I think I understand it pretty well. I'm just going through it like first an average gamer and then secondarily a game developer. But this is really I really like it, and I notice how the color is deepening from you was first solid white and now it's red or pinkish. So Fingerteeth embraced the goat and whispered at his left ear. That he will soon become a real man. No, said the goat to Fingerteeth. I want to become a stone, like my father. I knew it. Alright, yeah, you don't have to change the color of the lettering for quotes. I get it pretty immediately. You established the rule very early on, and I got it pretty immediately. So when when the letters are more separate, I forget what the word for that is. I'm sure it's like spacing, I guess, letter spacing. When the letter spacing is wider, my brain instantly interprets that as a quote, so that's really good. But the goat was wrong because his father was right there in front of him. His father was Fingerteeth. Whoop. Something else too is whenever you have something flash. Well, firstly, I think you should flash things more often now. Like I really want to see more of it. Like I really want you to help paint this picture visually with things that flash on the screen and just like scare the shit out of me. Um, Obviously, don't do it too often because then it just, it becomes repetitive and then you begin to predict it. And things that you can predict are just really aren't scary unless they're cosmic, right? Unless you really don't understand it. But like what comes to mind is something like The Ring, where like images, like weird images that you can't quite interpret, but that they're like very visually jarring and contextually jarring. Like that's kind of I really love that kind of stuff, and I would love to see more of it just flash in front of me while I'm reading this. For you to help me paint this picture visually, I don't know what those are, but kind of whatever you're seeing in your head as the developer, as the writer. Like I would love to see that special mix that this medium can bring, like the more visual, visceral thing too, while I'm also reading. Again, trying to hurdle that difficulty between visual contextualization and symbolic interpretation, like with the actual words and symbolism. That's always going to be an issue, but you can minimize that. You can mitigate that hurdle in the center there. Something else too that I want to bring up is think about sound effects, very jarring, like screeching sound effects that you can add whenever an image flashes, right? So it's like beep, like something, or like boom, like just when it flashes for that brief frame that you have it flash in. So just have it, like work on as many of my senses as you possibly can while I'm reading the story and getting lost in the story itself, or not getting lost, but getting pulled into this narrative. So while I'm getting pulled in, play with the rest of my senses. All right, said Fingerteeth. And so he proceeded to grab a stone. There it is again, from the hole inside him. Yeah, see, like, so that was tough. So like my brain couldn't interpret fast enough. Like it happened again. Like I kind of jumped out of the narrative, and I wanted to look down, but I didn't have enough time. So my brain interpreted what I saw as a crown. It just looked like a crown. It might have been, I don't know. It might have been like a mouth of teeth, like a shark mouth of teeth. It looked like a crown with like baubles and jewels on it, but that's just what my brain. It felt like a Rorschach test, but like a Rorschach like out of my visual spectrum. So I would, like I said, I would add a sound effect to that, like just mess with my hearing, but then also put it directly in front of me, right, so that I don't have to jump my vision, because when I jump my vision, I escape out of that narrative. I have to pull all the way out through all of these layers of interpretation, the symbolic layers, the visual layers. That I have to pull all the way out of that, look over to see it, and then my brain already stops. So it'd be interesting to actually get people to play this with like a fMRI to see like what parts of the brain are actually working. This. I mean, maybe this could be used in like a case study or something like this, like a video game like this. But this is really cool. I love the direction. I love horror games in all facets. So this is really fascinating. This stone is your father, said Fingerteeth to his son. The goat ate the stone in a single bite, and so the sky went dark forever. Oh, son of a bitch. So I just realized that all the buttons I'm pressing is actually spelling something. That's clever. Really well done. To this day, we can still see Fingerteeth hiding in the dark, waiting for our dreams to come true. There you go. Damn, I wish I would have remembered. Wrong. Why are you still here? There's a whole world out there. Do you understand that this is not the end? Mm. I forget if that's right or not. Is that it? Is it chromatin? Oh no. Ah. So, the thing about that is, that was super interesting. That was super interesting. So, I already want to go back and play that again. Okay, so that's my feeling. So first, what I was going to say is, once I realized that you were having me type stuff out, when I realized that, I really wanted you to push that further. Like, that was a cool realization. I almost wanted you to, like, just for a second, flip the black of the background to white, and then have the words that I was spelling out in black, in the same way that you flip images in front of me for, like, a frame. You know what I mean? Just for one frame, the whole screen goes white, and what I was typing is black in the background. So now I want to play again to type that out and actually see what I was typing. Really interesting, straight, way out. You're making a game way out of the box. It's interesting because it's not a game until I realize that I'm actually part of a rule set, right? Because games have rules and rules that you interact with, blah blah blah. So that's like the basic of a game. It's not just something. Not just because something's interactive doesn't make it a game. So the whole time I was like, is this really a game? It's interesting and I want to keep going, but is it a game? And at the end I realized that you had me within a rule the entire time, and that rule was I'm basically spelling this out. So it was creepy in the sense that it didn't make sense. You know, and what, like I said, like, it reminded me a lot of The Ring. I would love you to really push the visuals more, help me just put it in front of me so I can at least see and then grapple with that myself without having to look away, because the very action of looking away breaks my concentration on what I'm trying to find in my head. Again, this is just a test case of one person. So take what I say with a grain of salt. If what I'm saying isn't what you're going for, if you have it in mind, keep going with what you're doing. I'm just giving you my first impressions. Very interesting. I definitely want to play this again, to see what I was spelling out. The question at the end about the complex of DNA, RNA, and proteins inside of a eukaryotic cell was very interesting, and it reminded me of something that is deepening. Like, this is like an analogy. Like, it basically told me that what you wrote and what I was just a part of was a metaphor or an analogy for something else. I mean, obviously your tagline about it being, you know, this is the windiest, etc., etc., the windiest horror story of this nightmare we call life, like, that foreshadowed pretty heavily, more than hinted at the fact that this is going to be some kind of metaphor for life. But you're really bringing it at the end there, that this is something else. So you're really teasing to play the game again. Yeah, so I'd be interested to see if there's like a different storyline that I can follow. If I play it again, will it be more random, or will the exact same story play out? It's interesting. I really like it. I love interactive experiences like this, and I love being tricked and fooled, and I love being scared. Like, I love being frightened by somebody else doing something creepy and interesting. So this is great. I hope this feedback is helpful for you. So keep working on what you're working on, keep pushing it, and you know, keep making this game. I love it. Alright, so thanks a lot for letting me play, and I hope this was helpful. See ya.